Timber. Edu getting business done early yet again. But why did Arteta want him over the likes of Cancelo, Fresneda, and many other players that were linked with Arsenal? Of course, breaking it all down next, including team fit, statistics, player comparison, and all that good stuff that you're used to. So if you are looking forward to this video, do go ahead and smash that like button. Subscribe if you're new around here. But let's waste no more time at all and jump into the player profile. Kicking off with the basics, at the time of recording this video, he is still an Ajax player. However, various very reliable sources such as Fabrizio Romano, David Ornstein, and several others have confirmed that a fee somewhere in the region of £38.5 million plus add-ons have been agreed, with a medical booked later this week. Now, he plays right-sided centre-back for Ajax, having made a total of 30 appearances this season for them. However, for the Dutch national team, he is often utilised as a right-back. More versatility in this Arsenal side, and no surprise as to why Arteta wanted him so much. Standing at 6 foot tall and obviously right-footed for someone who plays on that side. A contract running until June 2025, hence why Ajax were commanding such a high fee for the young, talented Dutch international. Where can we expect to see Timber feature for Arsenal next season? What sort of positions might we see him taking up compared to other options like Saliba and Holding, who potentially might be on his way out of the club? But we can see very clearly straight away Timber, during his time at Ajax in his most recent season, certainly does like to take up different positions compared to Saliba, a different offering, not only adding quality in depth over the likes of Holding, but this is one of the reasons for why Arteta clearly wanted to sign him. Very comfortable at venturing into the opposition's half. When we look at Saliba's heat map, for example, a lot of that deep red is very much situated between the 18-yard box and the halfway line, whereas Timber looks to be more comfortable on the ball, being more progressive, not only playing on the right-hand side, but coming over to that left-hand side and venturing to the opposition's half, and even sort of occupying spaces in and around that 18-yard box. So making things very interesting for Arteta and Arsenal next season when it comes to tactical options and opening up teams in different ways. Most top clubs will have several different systems for different scenarios that might unfold during 90 minutes. Now, Arsenal typically on paper, the left-hand side, set up in a 4-3-3 formation. Now, the red circle shows where I expect Timber to play the majority of his games for Arsenal. The yellow may be a secondary position, somewhere he might get used if Arteta wants to switch things up, change things tactically, cover an injury, for example. And finally, in that grey circle, another role that he has played in his career, and something that we might see all too often next season when he features in an Arsenal shirt. Now, when Arsenal attack and have possession of the ball, which we can see here in the middle picture, Arsenal setting up in that typical 3-2-5 formation. And this is exactly where things start to get interesting for me, because we know that he can play as a central centre-back in that three. But given the attributes that he has going forward, I don't think we'll often see him in that role when Arsenal are in possession. And we may see him feature alongside the likes of Zinchenko, who typically takes up spaces in that left half space. Could we see Timber do the same on the right-hand side, allowing those in front of him, Rice, Odegaard, and even Havertz, to push into another role within this team? Could we see Arsenal push into a 2-2-4-2 formation next season, or feature with a box defence at the base of this structure, similarly to the way that City have with their 4 centre-backs? So many tactical changes, opportunities for Arsenal. And even when playing in that yellow position on the right side of that back three, we know how effective Ben White was in the most previous and recent season, supporting the likes of Bukayo Saka. And the progressive stats that I've already mentioned will show you just how effective he could be in such a role. And finally, when defending, Arsenal typically 4-4-2, and Timber could take up any one of those three positions depending on whether or not he's playing as a centre-back, a right-back, or utilised elsewhere. I don't think there's too much to analyse from this respect. Maybe at a push, we could look at how he could help Arsenal spring into attacks when winning the ball in our own third. He will certainly be utilised in several different roles. These have honestly got to be some of the craziest stats for a defender that I have ever seen when analysing individual players. Now, on the left-hand side, we have a graph where the defensive stats are in red, which coincidentally are the lowest of all available on screen. Grey are the possession, passing and progressive stats. And finally, in blue, the ones you would associate with attacking. Now, for a defender, whether it be a wing-back, full-back, ball-playing defender, you name it, typically you would see significant strides in that red department, and certainly an area which may need some work. Obviously, Arteta has a track record at improving players. But it's that particular data, not only on the left-hand side, but also what we can see on the right-hand side in that bottom third when it comes to tackles, interceptions, blocks, clearances, aerials, that questions whether or not he will be playing as a centre-back for Arsenal, or will he feature as more of a right-back or in that Zinchenko-esque role in midfield whilst in possession, helping break down attacks, for example, causing issues. And the reason I say this is when we look at his possession, passing and progressive stats domestically in the Netherlands last year, his progressive passes, progressive carries, final third entry passes and build-up XG are all in the top 99 percentile for a centre-back, which is completely unheard of, and dribbling as well up in the near top 90 percentile. And that's just domestically. And people could question, well, the Dutch league isn't in the top three leagues. You know, the quality compared to the Premier League or maybe Serie A or La Liga isn't quite there. But then when you compare his stats, which on the right-hand side show him against all top five leagues, Champions League and Europa League over the last 12 months, those question marks are blown out of the water, because we can see here in that middle section that practically every single stat there for progressive passes, carries, successful take-ons, progressive passes received, everything there is in the top 99 percentile. And whilst we could argue that he is, I don't know, maybe a transitional defender, a ball-playing defender, however you want to put it, even when comparing him to other centre-backs, typically, yes, you might see some of these stats in the top 80 plus percentile, but not top 99 percentile. These numbers are absolutely ludicrous. And typically in the next side, I would compare him against, say, for example, Saliba, Gabriel, maybe Ben White, for example, just to show what he might offer Arsenal from a defensive aspect next season. But I genuinely think that we may see him feature in a very different role to the one that everyone is expecting to see him in. You just look at the top third of that section on the right-hand side, shot creating actions, top 97 percentile. It's just absolutely crazy numbers, not something that you would typically associate with a centre-back, even a ball-playing centre-back. And that brings me on to a question that I'd like you guys to answer down in the comment section below. Where do you see Timber playing for Arsenal next season? What sort of positions tactically might he take up, whether it be in possession, defending, transitioning? These are all things that we have to take into consideration, because Arsenal play a very fluid system and look very different on paper compared to when we're attacking and have the ball. So do let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, because it is going to be really interesting from a tactical point of view how Arteta deploys him in that starting 11. Now, if you have found this video interesting, maybe you've learned something new, maybe you've just enjoyed it, go ahead and smash that like button and subscribe, especially if you're new around here. Massively helps me out. I hope you're as excited as I am about this signing. Number 3 in the bag. Are Arsenal done? If not, you can bet I'll have it covered on Arsenal Analysed. So make sure you stick around. But for now, I'm JC, and I'll catch you in the next one. Stay safe, take care, and bye for now.